Alrighty, Lumberjacks, welcome back to another Logging from Scratch episode. As you can see, we're just pulling into Ender's Forest here. We have a processing job for ptarmigan logging. So what we're going to do today is we're going to cut up some piles that they have laid down for us already, and we get to get a $50,000 reward. So it should be good. There's some piles over here. No, that's not what we're looking for. So we're supposed to go up the road a little ways here, and we're going to be seeing loader, and then it's just past the loader on the left-hand side. So hopefully we can figure that out. We got our A80 strapped on the back here, so we should be good to go. Got our beautiful new Warata attached to it. It's about time we finally put this thing to work and making some extra bucks. Oh, here's the loader. Ooh, pretty kitty. Look at that. Looks like they got some stuff happening here, ready to rock. But it should be just up past here. There's some more cut stuff here. Oh, here we go. This has got to be the spot. Oh yeah, there's our pile. All right, let's just go over here where we can actually unload this guy. Like I said, it's about time we finally got to put this sucker to work. Beauty. Beautiful Warta. All right. Let's get this guy off of here. Oop, better not drag our head along as we go. Yeah, perfect. All right. So now all we gotta do is we gotta cut these into short logs. So that shouldn't be too difficult to do. Of course, I always say that now. We'll see how it goes. So yeah, all we're doing is we're gonna cut them up, stack them up, and yeah, that's basically all there is to it. Be an easy contract. Let's go take a peek at this guy here. So this is a John Deere 909. Now one day, possibly one day, we're gonna get something just like this. Beautiful. Oh, there's the big nasty head. Remember we got to use one of those on Legion Hills when we were cutting out Jim's spot. Except I think we put it on the Timber Pro. But enough gawking. Let's get back to work here. Okay, so this will kind of be a nice test for our Wartux. We only got to cut down a couple trees on our other map there when we were playing around. Back on Legion Hills, we did a couple trees by the entry, but now, like I said, we're cutting this guy to just a short log, so we're just going to cut him to 5.6 meters here, and then hopefully we can actually keep them in a half nice looking pile. Doesn't mean we can, but we're gonna try. Remember, this is big bucks for us, so we got to pay attention. Pay attention and do a good job. I'm also gonna cut off these ugly ends. Man, come on. There we go. I'm gonna cut these ugly ends off because, like I said, our reputation is on the line now. So we're gonna just a sec here. Cut this. There we go. We're going to try to keep things nice and clean and nice and organized so that the contractor's happy with the work we've done. So yeah, what do we got? Topic of the day while I'm here, because I'm just gonna be chopping away here for a while. So topic of the day. Yeah, I gotta go to bed. Okay, so this is kind of up to date, I guess you could say. So the series documentary, The Tiger King. Everybody, a whole bunch of people said you should talk about that. So first of all, I hadn't actually watched it because I was like, well, what the heck is this all about? So then one of my really good friends, who is a no-nonsense kind of guy, he's like, dude, you should probably watch it. It's actually pretty good. And I was like, okay. I'm like, I'll check it out. So I watched the first episode, and I was kind of like, this is all right, a little interesting. And then the second, and then it started getting a little wild, and I'm like, holy God, this is crazy. So I don't want to spoil anything for anyone, so hardcore spoiler alert if you haven't seen it yet. Yeah, don't let me spoil it for you. But so yeah, basically the Tiger King is about this guy named Joe Exotic, who is a guy who owns a zoo and breeds these Siberian tigers and whatnot for a zoo. But like honestly, it's in Canada. That's not something you can't do. Like you can't even own them legally. I don't believe you can own them animals like that here. But I guess in the States, there's a lot of really gray areas and laws about it where you can have like exotic pets, and I don't know as far as the breeding goes. It must be legal because he was doing it. But then again, he's also in jail now, so maybe it wasn't legal. But it seems like it's actually a pretty big deal over in the States right now. Having, people basically... sorry, I'm trying to straighten these out and pay attention at the same time here. But having all these tigers and trying to breed them. I didn't know that you could actually do that and get away with it, but apparently there's big bucks in it. So anyway, the whole series is about this guy and his dramatic adventures as the Tiger King, where he has his own reality show and he has his own little zoo, and it's just drama the whole time. Oh, he's also gay, like he's a homosexual, which just kind of adds to the I don't know, the strangeness of it. Apparently where they are, and I can't remember what state they're in, but it's a very red state where they don't believe in things like that, very religious and all that fun stuff. So yeah, having him as a gay tiger breeding exotic animal guy, just, I don't know, it's a great plot for a for a wild show for sure. But yeah, it was a really strange, bizarre movie with a lot of drama. I personally think the guy who made the documentary just kind of exaggerate. Well, obviously it's entertainment, so you got to exaggerate, but I think he just really clearly exaggerated the heck out of the dramatic events. I mean, some of it you can't even make that stuff up. Some of it there was just things that happened that were like, wow, that's a random moment right there. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to go over the whole thing and ruin it for anybody who hasn't seen it. But yeah, it's full of drama and craziness. And yeah, for all the terrible things that Joe Exotic is or was, he does have a very charismatic personality. Like listening to him talk, listening to him, get on with his stuff. If you've ever actually, like afterwards, after I watched the series, I went and actually watched or checked out some of his YouTube stuff or his channel where he's talking about, the exotic animals and wanting to kill this girl named Carol Baskins because she is she's basically his competitor. And basically in the series, it's really funny because he owns the zoo and he's breeding tigers. And he says, oh, everybody's like, oh, this is so terrible. The tigers, save their lives. This is disgusting that he does this. Total trash. But then at the same time, you have this girl named Carol Baskins, who is a wildlife, rescue person. And she's basically just doing the same thing. She's, she has a zoo. People are paying money to come into the zoo to see the tiger. It's all basically the same thing. Except she's just basically kind of calling him out and saying he's the devil. And it's funny because they're both basically the same thing, right? But at the very end of the series, it talks about how Joe, when he first started, and it shows some footage from like when he was, before it all went kind of crazy, he was actually trying to do something really good with what he was doing. He was trying to save these endangered animals and get them back to the woods where they belong, right? Instead of having them captive, instead of having them, in a bad shape. And early on, it looks like he was really honest about it, and that he actually wanted to, like take care of the animals and make a difference and do something positive. But then I guess money gets involved, and then people just get kind of, silly, and it's pretty much just how it goes. It's kind of like all good things, they always start off nice, original. It's bands are a prime example. And I mean, at the same time, you can't really blame the bands, but you'll have a band who does like an album that's like absolutely amazing, best album ever. And then as they grow, their albums get more and more away from maybe what they were when they started. So you have this original album that's like, oh, this is the best thing I've ever heard. It's so good. But then 6-7 albums later, they're 50 million platinum, gold, best record ever thing. And now their music's nowhere near what it was. It's starting to become almost poppy. Like they change it so it sounds basically just like everything else. And that's basically how that sad system of music goes. Not to really, I guess we're detouring off of Tiger King now, but seems media, once media gets involved and producers, like I remember reading about some really good bands. Five Finger Death Punch was one. Not to say that they're not doing well for themselves, they are, but originally, like, they had a really raw kind of, like, Way of the Fist being the first album was like a really raw kind of hard tone, and then they kind of got a little softer, a little more poppy kind of sounding with their second album. It was very processed, very not really the way they were. Now, I had a really close friend who worked, like I said, I was in audio engineering for a long time. I'm still technically an audio engineer, but I have a friend who worked really closely with a lot of those bigger bands and some of the contractors and stuff that worked with them. And he said that most of those bands now don't even write their own music. They don't even do a lot of their stuff. They perform their music, they record their music, but he said a lot of the writing is done by producers. And producers will look at what's popular in this genre right now. What's popular, what sounds, are people listening to? Okay, perfect. So now we're going to take what they're doing, and that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to do exactly the same thing. And then your music is no longer what you originally wanted it. It's now some producer guy who signed you to the label or promised you something, and he's in control of your band now, and he's now the one that's calling all the shots, and you have to perform kind of like a monkey and just do your thing. That's how my buddy explained it. He said the best thing that could ever happen to a original great band is to never get signed on by a label and to never be part of the whole music scene where it's, becomes almost like corrupted. It's a very corrupted, money grubbing kind of system where people don't actually care about the music of the bands. Those big producers and stuff just want to go, okay, how much money can this band make us? How much, how many people is it going to add? How much revenue is it going to get? And if it doesn't hit a certain quota, I'm not interested. We're not going to run them. Like that's just business, right? So when they say the music business, it's not about, oh, this music sounds amazing to some people, but not everyone. They try to maximize the most amount of people, maximize the most amount of, stuff they can get out of it. So yeah, that's what I think kind of happened to the Tiger King, in my opinion, is he probably started with a beautiful idea like most people do, trying to do something, make a difference, and then he started getting the attention, he started getting the fame, he started making the money, and he lost sight of what he actually wanted to do. And then he became so heavily pulled into it. And again, like I said, not to defend him, because, he made bad decisions and he's done terrible things, I'm sure. So please don't think I'm defending him. I'm just saying where it stems from and where it ends up. People go in with a beautiful idea, then they get corrupted by the fame, the glory, the money, the whatever. And like I said, they lose sight and they lose their reputation. And now look, he's in jail, so it didn't work out for him. So yeah, but yeah, it's a really interesting little series, and I knew it blew up on the internet. Everybody was going crazy about it, and oh my god, the Tiger King. But the way it's written is very dramatic, very reality TV-esque, I guess you could say. So it's very attractive to people to watch because there's so much drama and there's so much just crazy stuff going on. And like I said, a lot of it is exaggerated by the person who wrote the documentary for it. A lot of it is clearly over-exaggerated stuff, but you know what? Nonetheless, it's interesting to watch, and it also kind of reveals some stuff about the States I never really knew from being a Canadian, like that there's that many tigers in captivity and owned by people, and that people like buy animals and then abandon them once they grow up, and then there's like wild animals running all over the place. Like, that is crazy. I remember hearing something about that, about like alligators or turtles or something that somebody had, and then they grew up and were too big to look after, so they just released them into the wild, and then they go into like crawl into somebody's bathtub or their pool or something, that kind of stuff. But I had no idea there was that many tigers around, There's actually more tigers in captivity. Well, according to the documentary, I've never actually looked up the thing, but there's actually more tigers in captivity in the United States under the care of humans than there is left in the wild running around. And again, I don't know if those stats are 100% true or if that's just kind of a dramatic pushing, you know, a agenda with the documentary. But like I said, it was very, very interesting to see, and yeah, worth a look. It's kind of a long series. I think there's like what, 7 episodes or 8 episodes, or about an hour each or 45 each. So it's a bit of a commitment if you're going to sit down and watch it all. But and then they just recently did a follow-up episode with Joe Hale from Community, who kind of does like this weird interview thing with Joel style humor. Actually, I wasn't really a big fan of the interview, just because, you know, regardless of how I'm sure everybody's calling all these people from this documentary a bunch of losers and idiots, you know, at the same time, they're still people at the end of the day, and you know what, they did what they did, and you know, it looks like they're doing better now. So, when Joel did his little interview there, he was kind of, well, I mean, it's Joel Hale. What do you expect? He's like a sarcastic dick with like all his everything I've ever seen. So anybody who's really shocked by that's kind of asking for it. But I mean, I don't know why they picked him of all people to do an interview. Like, I don't know. I mean, it's not exactly something Oprah would probably do, but maybe Dr. Phil. Yeah, I don't know. Just crazy. But yeah, it's a good series. Check it out for sure. Or don't. I don't know. Whatever you want. Doesn't really matter. It's kind of a weird thing. I'm not really one for the reality TV documentary series kind of thing. I kind of usually get bored of that stuff. But yeah, that one was it was pretty entertaining. I got hooked right into it and wanted to see where it went. It reminded me of you know, watching those history like documentaries, you know, like Ice Road Truckers or Axemen or whatever. It gave me that same kind of vibe where I was like, oh, I kind of got to watch the next episode. I really want to know, because they leave you with all these cliffhangers. You know, like it's well done. They do a good job that way. But yeah. Anyway, we're almost done here. We're getting down to our last few cuts. Actually, using this dangle head, and I've been working on it a little bit. I've gotten it pretty close to where I want it for a comfortable head to process with. And as we can see, I'm just motoring through this wood here, so this is working out pretty good. Beautiful. Just beautiful. So yeah, episode change. How about that? I should probably go over that. I should have mentioned that at the beginning. So the episodes have changed a little bit for Logging from Scratch. Mostly now they have an intro and an outro, which is, you know, hardcore production. But I've always wanted to do something a little bit nicer and a little bit different, so I put a little introduction at the beginning to show what job we're doing or what we're doing, just to kind of get you an idea, an overview of the episode. And then at the end of the episode, which you'll see when we get to the end, instead of doing my finances up in the top right corner like I've been doing with that little notepad, it's been driving me nuts. Instead, in this way I can hopefully add up my math properly. At the end of the episode, which you'll see at the end of this episode, oh, look at that, we're all done. At the end of the episode, you will see a little pop-up, and it'll show us how much money. Oh man, look at this pile. Whew, it's got a little bit of a lean, and I will leave them to clean up that mess because I'm not taking care of that. No, sir. So let's load this bad boy back up. But yeah, as I was saying, at the end of the episode, you'll see kind of a rundown. So it'll show the job, our expenses. Let's just look here. Do this in first person. I usually zoom out, but it's fun to do in first person too. But yeah, it'll show all the stuff at the end there, and that way it's a kind of a review of our finances. I don't have to go through adding with a calculator as we go and doing all that stuff. I can keep track of it as we do things, and add up our totals and all the other good stuff as we go. All right, so let's load this guy back out of here. Locked up. So that was a pretty easy job. I mean, it was a lot of work. That was a lot of tree cutting, but for an easy 50 grand. Well, I always say 50 grand and then minus our expenses, because our expenses will be, you know, expensive. But eventually, once we get enough money, we're going to have to use this big old beast to make us enough money to buy a truck so we can actually get out of here. not borrow this stupid mill one. But yeah, no, that was an easy peasy one. I like that. I had fun. Hopefully you guys had fun listening to the Tiger King. What do you guys think about the Tiger King stuff? If you've watched it, I mean, I want to hear your opinion. Let me know what you think. Let me know if it's hardcore, if it's good, if it's bad. Are you on Joe's side or are you on Carol's side? Haha. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. So, yeah, if you guys liked the episode, leave a like, leave a comment. Do not forget to subscribe, and if you're in the bush, don't forget to hug a tree. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next one. See ya.